Beyond the Buckles. Real rodeo topics for cowboys and cowgirls.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Young Cattle Company. Hey guys, here we are on another episode of Beyond the Buckles. As always, we've got the full house here. We got the gang. We got Blake. We got Briar. We got Nathan, and we got Blaine. Man, it's going to be a great episode. We've got a guy that can talk about the old school ways. I mean, he rodeoed with Lane a little bit. Beat Ty Murray out for Rookie of the Year. We're going to give some good diggings there. And then he's also an excellent coach. He does coach practices and things like that and helps out the youth. So I think he's a great asset to the sport of bull riding, even though the PBR don't like it. But if you know Beyond the Buckles, we don't give a shit. So I'm glad to announce that we've got the infamous, I'm not going to say famous, I'm going to say infamous, Mr. David Berry. Monster Bull himself. How you doing, David?
Man, I'm doing outstanding.
So tell me, you all right, man, you got all this shit going on, man. You rodeoed with Lane, and I don't even know where really to start other than maybe, how did you get started?
Like in riding bulls.
Yep.
Cody was basically, I rode bareback horses first, and because my mom and dad really didn't want me riding bulls, but they'd let me ride bucking horses. So, and then eventually that I was able to start riding bulls. But yeah, I started when I was 12, getting on my first bull, and to this day, I do all these coach practice schools, and the kids, when they nod for the gate, they still ride farther out than I ever did the first time I got on. It took me a while to figure out.
I call that beginner's luck.
Yeah. But yeah, no, man, I started when I was 12 and just kind of worked my way up. Very fortunate in the time frame that I did. There was the Irvin Williams, the Terry Don West, Bubby Bailey's. I mean,
man,
just a herd of guys around here that could ride.
They were icons of the sport back in the day.
What's that?
Them guys right there, Irvin Williams, Terry Don West, Bubba Bailey, man, them guys were icons back then. And, they come from somebody and something. And if I understand it, you didn't really come from nothing. You just kind of just got into the bull riding. Or you started bareback riding and then turned into the bull riding.
Yeah. So even like when in the bareback riding, I had an adult rigging, and my dad took some black tape and taped my handle so my hand wouldn't go all the way through it.
Right, put a bind in there.
Yeah. And so I didn't know. I mean, I wore a leather glove, a working leather glove, and from the ranch. My first pair of chaps was a horseshoeing chaps,
Wow.
And then I got a pair of chaps for Christmas one time. And then you could tell how each year how much I growed, because they would take my chaps back to this leather shop and they'd sew, a few more inches on that's how it was for me. I grew up in a law enforcement family. I was a kid. My dad was a jailer in Tahlequah, and we lived in the jail.
Did he ever have to let you out?
No, I've come really close. But no. I've been handcuffed one time, and that was it.
No way.
And I had to do some name dropping to get out of that
one. Yeah, that seems like a typical rodeo cowboy way, to get out of a ticket or get out of spending the night in jail. You kind of drop names. Or I remember one time we was headed to the airport, and it was me and KJ Pletcher and Lonnie Steverson and JJ Quintana and JW and the PBR was real big then, and we was hauling ass to the airport. I remember going around 6:35 going to the airport, and there was two vans, and Jerome Davis was with us. And we get pulled over doing like 95 in a 65, and the cop comes up there, and I mean straight up just goes, he's shell shocked at the door, and he goes, "Y'all ain't who I think y'all are. I want to see y'all's driver's license." So we hand him our driver's license, and he goes, "Oh shit, y'all are who y'all are. my wife would kick my ass if I give y'all a damn ticket. And we wound up having to get out of the ticket. We all signed autographs for the damn cop or highway patrol. And then he give us an escort to the airport. He goes, why are y'all running so damn fast? I said, well, we get on a plane in about 40 minutes. And we was like 35 minutes away from the airport. And he gives us a full-on escort all the way to the airport, and we make our flight. But,
That's outstanding.
Yeah. So cowboys get out of a lot of shit, but I'm still kind of shocked that you only went to jail one time. You're a fucking rebel.
Well,
Let's just admit it.
You
embody that. You take that. A lot of people say, I'm not a rebel. You kind of do that. You embrace that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we, I didn't quite make it to the jail, but I had to talk my way out of the handcuffs, you know. And
you didn't like the iron bracelets?
We were just in a bar fight, and so anyway, it was kind of one of them deals.
You win second.
But yeah, it was all good. But yeah, my whole family's in law enforcement. I mean, my dad's a retired state trooper. Was sheriff here for quite a while.
Pretty sure my brother's the black sheep.
My mom,
black sheep of the family.
I should have been like Wyatt Earp or something, you know. But my dad's a Marine, you know, and so I grew up with a Marine haircut forever, and then
that's long.
You know,
gone.
I let my hair grow out.
Yeah. So you started riding bulls, and how long did it take for you to progress to being, you know, to knowing you was competitive, where you could go and beat and win?
Oh yeah. So, you know, like I said, I started when I was 12. I was probably 16 when 15, 16 when I really started turning the corner and you know, started my riding percentage was going up, and riding some bulls that the other boys wasn't getting rode, and just things probably started clicking there. Yeah. You know, it just but I was really lucky with the type of bulls too, Cody, that I was getting on. You know, they wasn't the bred to buck stuff, and but they wasn't Herefords and Charleys either. But
right.
You know, it was a lot of the bulls that I were getting on were learning how to buck too, and a lot of them just jump, kick, circle, and then started spinning, and they would get better as I was getting better. So right. It really, that's kind of where I really started understanding how things work. And you know, I wasn't just getting on bulls that open the gate and there they go.
Right.
So I was able to develop my balance and my technique, my skills, timing. And then as I was getting better, the bulls were, you know, were getting also better because they were learning how to buck.
It kind of goes back to the teaching of bulls, because you don't want to start somebody out to get on their first one to get on bushwhacker. You want to start them out on a low level bull, and as they progress, you move up to bigger and better bulls. And so it was kind of I mean, I'm sure it wasn't planned that way. It just like what you're talking, it just kind of happened that you just come up in the right time, and there it was.
Yes. And that was something, you know, the bulls, you could look at them and they look like rodeo bulls, but you know, a lot of times they just didn't buck like what you see today.
Yeah.
With that said, everybody had a really ranked bull, but I was lucky to grow up in where I could not, you know, get. And it was before the vest helmets and, you know, cups,
cowboys,
pieces. You know? So, but I was very fortunate. I got hurt more riding bucking horses than I ever did riding bulls.
Me too.
You know,
me too.
So, but I if the horses bucked, I really liked it. But in some bitches that took off running and you didn't waiting for them to break into, and it just I kind of didn't really dig that.
Me neither.
But the last horse I got on, my rigging was always so fucking big, and the last horse I got on, he you know, ran out there, broke in two, and my rigging went over his head, and I got up all down holding my bareback rig, and that was the last horse I ever got on.
I can still remember my last horse. It was a Cleburne Little Britches rodeo, and I got on a damn half Shetland, half Welch, and this, I think I was about 10 years old, and this sucker run down the pen, and I rode him. I spurred the piss out of him and just stepped off of him like a bull, and that son of a bitch kicked me right in the ribs. That was the first, I think that was probably the first bone I ever broke. Broke my damn ribs, and I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I don't like these damn things.
So, David,
I learned a lot. Yeah.
So you grow up. Yeah, you grew up in the right time too. I mean, like you said, the bulls were coming up, and I think there was somebody else riding about that time in just about that same part of country there, maybe just a little further south that rode pretty good.
Yeah. So I get in a high school, Oklahoma High School Rodeo Association. And again, back then it was just stacked with future Hall of NFR PB bull riders, but anyway, you get in high school, and my very first high school rodeo, I'm watching the bull riding, waiting my turn, and everybody just the whole time that night just kept talking about Elaine Frost, and I'd never heard of him. He's about 5 years older than I am, and I get to this high school rodeo. Well, he had just graduated the year before, and so he was still pretty, fresh on everybody's mind, and everybody kept talking about Lane Frost, and so I went to that year, made it to the finals, high school national finals, and everybody just kept talking about Lane Frost, and I thought, what the hell, So the next year in high school, I win it. I'm the state champion bull rider, which was again about like me winning when I won the Rookie of the Year in the PRCA.
What year was that you won the state championship in high school?
85 or 4. 84. I was state champion in 84. And so anyway, it just, again, everybody just keeps talking about this Lane Frost. And finally, I'm kind of like, what the fuck about me? I'm the winner right now. And I just wasn't, jealous of him. I just like, who the hell is this guy? And, well, I live in Locust Grove, and one day I got out of school and I go into the store to get a soda pop, and there's an advertisement for Lane's very first bull riding school. Yeah. Him and Freckles Brown. Mm-hmm. And it was like $75, And so I'm like, I'm gonna go to that to meet the guy. Yeah. It's $75, Yeah. I'm the state champion. I'm thinking I'm the best. Right. But I'm gonna go meet this guy. Mm-hmm. And I did. And it was kind of the greatest thing that, making the right decisions. It wasn't so much as what he taught me as much as how much he helped me. Yeah. But yeah, we become really good friends. And then, so that was in 85 or something like that when I met Lane for the first time. And he told me, he asked me, what my goals were. And back then it was just the NFR, the PRCA, and for the Holy Grail. And I told him what I wanted, and he said, well, when you fill your permit, call me and I'll help you.
Wow.
And so
how about that?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn wild.
Pretty,
right there.
I'd feel pretty special. I think I'd had.
Yeah. Having Lane, of course it's a big deal today, but the brand, the Lane Frost brand and all, but he was like he was just different. He was special. And, but he didn't act like it. He wanted to be a rancher more than anything, and bull riding was going to be his way of owning his own ranch someday and enough cows and stuff. And so he thought if he could win the world and go to the NFR, a few times, he could accumulate enough money where he could just, be a rancher.
That's where every bull rider goes wrong. I know I did. I mean, I thought, shit, I'm going to be a world champion bull rider and everything's going to be easy. And it'd be never another poor day. Horse shit. What a lie. Yeah. I'm going to tell you young guys out there right now, you better go to school, get an education, because when bull riding's over, bull riding don't pick you up and help you anymore. You've got to have something after that, man. It's crazy, and it don't get no easier after you get a gold buckle, I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a retirement program, and that was something Lane was doing. So every time he'd get an extra $1,000 won, he would go buy a cow and a calf. Yep. And which you could do that back then. But every time he'd get an extra 1,000, he'd go buy a cow and a calf. And he was accruing a herd of cows again, so that someday, his ultimate goal wasn't to win more gold buckles than Donnie Gay. His goal was to, basically get enough accumulated that he could be a rancher the rest of his life.
Well, he wasn't going and buying bucking cows either. He was buying commercial cows, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. and so he built an arena at his house or at his mom and dad's house there in Lane, and a little bull riding arena there. And him and Clyde would go and buy some little sale barn bulls, little crossbred bulls, and that's what we would practice on when we'd go to Lane's house to get on bulls.
Yep, I remember going to that arena, and they had a youth bull riding there 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
Long time ago.
And it was a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago probably, and it was just iconic it was really cool to have that event there.
Yeah.
And Clyde and Elsie allowing it to happen, and all them kids getting to see that history, where to be able to ride out of the actual chutes Lane Frost practiced out of and be at that arena. I mean, that's really sacred ground in the bull riding world.
We didn't get to ride out of them chutes.
No, not
they had to bring in new ones.
Well, right. So the arena.
Yeah. We got to ride in the arena.
There you go.
Yep. Just to be in that arena and on that.
It still was something.
Yeah, it was still something to be proud of.
That would stick with you forever.
Y'all didn't do very good there, did you?
No.
Wow. Was y'all starstruck maybe?
No.
No.
I just wasn't good then.
I was like 6.
I don't know. It seemed like, because we was some of the first to ever ride in that arena, but that seemed like the story, and I might be corrected, Clyde could tell me, but I'm pretty sure Clyde tells the story of Lane's building this arena, and he's got his welder on the back of his truck, his pickup there, and he's building the arena, and he gets it put up and welded up, but his pickup's inside the arena.
I've heard that same story. He welded his truck inside the arena.
I was thinking
get it
they
out.
told us that when we was there.
Yeah. That's fun. That's typical bull rider right there, I promise you.
It'd be something I would do.
Yeah. So tell me about your rookie year in the PRCA.
What's that, Cody?
Let's hear about the rookie year in the PRCA. Hear about that. That year was, I had no goal but to go to the NFR that year. I didn't even know there was another contest going on, that they was keeping track of, rookie bull riders. And that year was stacked again with who's who. I mean, you had Ty Murray, you had Brent Thurman. Wow.
That's
saying enough right there with just them two guys.
Yeah.
I'm not there. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, there's plenty. It was just stacked. I mean, there were some guys in there that it was our first year at this deal. And at the end of the year, I somehow won the bull riding deal. And Ty, he won the all around. And then Craig Latham won the saddle bronc riding, and then I won the bull riding.
Wow.
So, but they had the awards deal where they give even the Gold Buckle awards deal. They didn't give it away at the NFR. They had a deal in Colorado Springs that you would go to after the NFR. And anyway, I didn't have enough money to go to the awards deal to go out there to get my stuff, and so they mailed it to me. But yeah, so it was but it was a really good year. I mean, I was broke, but it was a good year.
Yeah.
I got this cowboy hat they gave me and a buckle and a little bit of money, and I took that money they gave me and helped pay off my fines that I was fined up with, and that's why I don't know how I won it, because I was fined up for there at the end of the year, and I wasn't able to enter them pro rodeos. So anyway, but yeah, so they gave me this hat, and I cracked back out next year, and we're January, and I got my old hat shaped up, and I'm the fucking rookie of the year, and I couldn't fucking ride past the chute gate, and I was pretty fucking sure of that new black cat I was wearing that was fucking me off. So,
how many bulls did you get rode at the NFR?
He never went.
No, how many bulls did he get rode though out of 10?
He never went to the NFR.
Oh, he didn't?
No. That's how stacked it was back then. A rookie really didn't have much of a shot to make the NFR.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can probably look it up.
Where did you wind up in the standings that year, maybe?
I'm pretty, I don't know. I had to been fucking next to last probably, but I think I'm the only.
You was above Ty Murray though.
The NFR.
Yeah, you was above Ty Murray though. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, only buckle Ty don't have. I'm pretty sure he don't give a shit.
He don't have a buckle. He don't have a PBR
he
buckle
got
either.
The one I wear either. Now, granted, he was probably the greatest rodeo cowboy of all time, especially in the rough stock. Now that Stetson Wright's out here, Hey, there's an argument right there. Stetson Wright's fixing. I mean,
Stetson's
he's already
better.
setting the world.
Yeah,
on fire.
Stetson's better.
Yeah.
I think.
Better.
Yeah, for me, the money right now, them boys are cashing checks and depositing that's outstanding. It was, like I said, for Lane to feel like he could have a future after rodeo, he had to get to the NFR and win a gold buckle. And, I think sky was the limit for him if he'd lived, but at the same time, he was getting really close to being set up to just own his own ranch and be a rancher.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot like it is now, really. If you don't make the NFR, you're shot. That's because you put out so much money traveling up and down the road with entry fees and logistic wise and all this. If you don't make the NFR and then have at least a decent NFR, your year's just really a loss. I mean, you'd be lucky if you break even.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially
for sure. The expenses there,
so many rodeos.
and it was them boys that go to the NFR. I'd say you're probably right. I'm sure there's some of them, and they get show up money when they get there. But I'm pretty sure that when they do get there, that show up money kind of helps them.
I mean, really, that just kind of helps them stay the week there because Vegas ain't cheap, and even back in Oklahoma City, I'm sure it wasn't cheap when the finals were there. But and I've heard a lot of the NFR guys say, if I've got to get to the NFR, I've got to get to the NFR to make it work. Or I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, and I need to win a round or two out there to really capitalize on, where I can put some money back. Otherwise, I mean, because plane tickets ain't cheap nowadays. Gas is $4 a gallon and stuff. So it's and what did it take to make the NFR back then? 20, 30,000 in 85, 86? Yeah. And now it's taken 80 to 90. And I think one year, a couple years ago, I think you had to win 105,000.
Yeah.
Just
Something
be
like that,
15th. Yeah.
I remember I used to sit there and think, okay, I'd be like at Mesquite, Texas, and I would thinking, okay, I got to win Mesquite 35 times, and I could go to the NFR or something like that.
There's only 52 weeks in the year, and that thing wasn't year round, was it?
No, it almost was, but I'd go to fucking Mesquite because you could get on a mean motherfucking Brindle that's going to jump and kick down the arena, but she's going to be on TV.
Yeah.
I'll going to do it, But work on my interview skills and shit like that, But
so, how long after you won the rookie did you ride? When did you quit and why?
Well, so really, to go there, I'd have to go back a little bit. So I filmed my permit. Lane wins the world in 87. I filmed my permit in 87. And so I call him in December after he gets back from the NFR and just ask him if he could help me enter Denver because Denver has so many performances. I'm used to entering rodeos that had mostly four perfs or two. And, Denver has 20 of them plus. And so, and they'll set them bulls, and certain performances are going to be certain better bulls out this time and not so the next. Well, to win, you kind of needed to get in that really good pen of bulls. And so I called him to ask him what perf to enter. Well, he was at his mom and dad's. That's where I called him at. And he was putting carpet down. He was using some of his money that he'd won from the NFR and had bought Clyde and Elsie some new carpet and was putting it down in their house. And Lane was always working. He always was doing something. And I mean, he would, instead of hiring a carpet installer, he's going to do it. It was nothing to show up there to get on bulls or something, and Lane would be out in the shop there breaking down tires and putting new tires on his rims instead of taking it to town and letting somebody do it. He was going to do it. He was always saving money. He was always, he had a purpose. He had a goal. But anyway, so he said, well, let me call you back. And he calls me back and he said, I talked to Tough and, we're just going to enter you with us. He said, up to here, Cody's been with us. Jim's been with us. But they want to ride saddle bronc horses too. And Tough rode some saddle bronc horses, but Jim was riding broncs too. getting on, but and that was Cody's that was his event. Really. And then Ty, which again, I kind of like Lane in the early days. I didn't know who the fuck Ty Murray was. I'd never heard of him. Right. But Lane said they're going to go. They're going to put Ty in their rig, and so Lane said we're just going to put you with me and Tough, and I said okay, and I hung up the phone and. I called my dad and told him, I said, hey, I'm going to start out the year with Lane and Tough. And he said, oh, that's awesome. I said, yeah, but you got any money I can borrow?
We got to mortgage the place here because I can pay fence fees.
He told me, he said, there's a bank in Locust Grove. Go talk to them. So anyway, I started out the year with Lane and Tough. And I remember like the very first, so I drive to Lane, I park my car there, and I get in the van with him there at Lane's, and they had a dog kennel, and that's how that advertisement wound up in Locust Grove, because Clyde and Elsie had sold dogs, had a dog, and Lane had some dogs too, but they'd bring them to Locust Grove to a dog broker and sell their puppies to this dog broker in Locust Grove, and while they were there, they put this sign up. So there was a lot of things that were just kind of neat how it landed. They'd come to Locust Grove to sell their puppies, and that's how I found out how I could meet Lane Frost. Well, by going to that school and meeting Lane, and then he built his practice pen, going and just riding bulls down there and hanging out with him, and he lets me. I'm sure he had to argue with Tough, but he gets me in the rig with just them two, and so we're leaving Lane, and we have this Rottweiler puppy with us, and that we're taking. So we're taking him back to Quanah where Lane was living with Kelly, but there was a guy that owned a car dealership that had give Lane a van, a Ford Club van. Yeah, it was red and white. And anyway, so van. We get to Quanah, we still got the Rottweiler puppy because the puppy's going to the guy that give Lane this van. And so we pick up Kelly, and we're pulling out, and I'm with them. We're going somewhere in Texas. I don't know. It wasn't very far, but it was a little ways. We went and it was night. Everything was closed. You sit in a movie where he gets his van. There's all these people cheering around. That ain't that. When we got there, it was closed. It was dark, and there wasn't a fucking person around. And anyway, but the guy that owned the dealership, he gives the keys to the new van to Lane. Lane gives this guy the puppy. I drive Lane's old van back to Quanah, following Lane and Kelly in the new van. We get back to Lane's house. So in the van too was Lane's he'd won the world champion saddle was in the van with us. So anyway, we get back to Quanah, and Lane lived in a trailer house. We walk in the front door, and Lane's carrying his new saddle he'd won. And on his TV was his Pendleton Oregon saddle. He had sitting on top of the TV, spread out the fenders. He takes it down and sets his his championship saddle on it, spreads it out. And it was kind of neat. And then we had dinner, which amounted to a bowl of cereal because Lane was cheap. And we ate a bowl of cereal, and we went to sleep, and we got up 4 a.m. to go take off to go to Denver. And that was my first rodeo. And we met Tough there. So, but anyway, that's kind of how that got going. Now, with that said, I stayed with them till around April. Yeah. And it got to where I couldn't stay. I couldn't afford really to stay with them because they was started entering, a lot of 2 or 3 rodeos and going and getting on the best bull. Yeah. And they was turning out, them other 2 bulls. And there's fines. Well, I couldn't. Yeah. I got to where I couldn't afford to turn out fines, which is because I wasn't staying on like they were. Yeah. And that was something that so I'm in the van, I'm driving, Lane's on the passenger seat, Tough's in the back. And we're leaving. I don't remember what rodeo it was. We're leaving the rodeo. I'd fell off, and Tough he crawls up to the front and basically just tells me I'm a piece of shit, and he don't understand why Lane lets me go with him and just running my ass down like that, and he just crawls back in the back like that. Well, Lane he looks over at me. He says, man, Tough needs to brush his teeth. His breath stinks. And so it got me laughing to kind of, kind of take away that moment. And he said, "Oh, don't worry about him."
Yeah.
But Tough was, he wasn't Lane.
No.
So Tough, he's eating my ass out. And then after he does that, Lane's, trying to pick up the pieces,
Hang on, before we go any farther, we need to hear from our great sponsors.
Yep. We'll take a break. For all your home furnishing needs, give Lork Ranch a call. They can hook you up. So Tough, he wasn't very hygienic back then, I guess, with the bad breath.
When he still had all of his teeth, he didn't take very good care of them.
He had all of his teeth.
But he was, he was different to be around, but he was good for me to be around.
Yeah.
And then, then Lane, but we was talking about being handcuffed and stuff, but Tough, y'all's talking about your speeding ticket. I'd be driving, because I was the young Tough used to call me Young Dave. And for some reason, I was always the driver. And I'd be driving, Tough be telling me, go faster and faster. Because I don't know if you've ever rode with Tough Hedeman, but it's everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're leaving out of Florida or something. And Tough's just telling me, he said, just go faster, would you? Go faster. And just kept getting in my ass. I never could go fast enough. Well, sure shit, the trooper gets behind me and pulls me over. And Tough waits for this trooper to get right to my window, and he pops his head up behind my seat and says, "You son of a bitch, I've been telling you to slow down. Way the fuck."
Of course.
Yeah. I got enough speeding tickets when I was with them guys. My mom was a police dispatcher, and she would run my license all the time to see,
you could tell
anyway, I lost my license. I'd gotten enough speeding tickets and hadn't paid my tickets. And they, of course, name dropping law enforcement, I was able to get them back. But that was all because of Tough, just, wanting to go faster and faster. So, but yeah, it's good stuff. But Tough, he was fun to be around. He got a new van one time, and we called it the bus because it was long as a semi and just pure white. And he had a white van before that said Tough Hedeman World Champion Bull Rider on it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're leaving Victoria, Texas one night. Me and Lane, we're in the back, and Tough's driving. Anyway, we kind of wake up to these flashing lights behind us, like police lights. So we're docked on the side of the road, mm-hmm. pulled over, and you could hear this trooper ask Tough. He says, "What do you do for a living?" And Tough, you could hear Tough saying, "I'm a fucking mortician." Tough Hedeman, world champion bull rider on his van, But anyway, he got this new van. Me and him picked it up in Fort Worth or Dallas somewhere, and we're going to I don't know, somewhere in out east. We're headed to Florida, but we stop at the side of the rodeo. Anyway, Tough, he of course he drives like a maniac, and we get there luckily, but it was March 2nd, and that's my birthday, and that's Tough's birthday, and we share the same day. Well, we stopped at a Dairy Queen, and because I'm the young one, I have to buy him fucking birthday lunch. It's my too, but I had to pay for it.
That's some rookie hazing stuff right there.
Yeah. So,
but
it was just me. We was going to meet Lane there at the rodeo, wherever the fuck it was. And anyway, I rode my bull, and he jerked me down, and he popped me in the eye, and I had to go get stitches. So, we're in this brand new van. They're taking me to the emergency room, him and Lane. And we pull in there, and Tough goes to back out into this because the bus was so long, our van was so long, to get in a parking spot. It took a couple of shots at it. Well, he puts it in reverse and backs up too far, and he crushes the top of the van in from a cement pillar in this parking garage. And he just, again, I'm a sorry son of a bitch. That's wouldn't have fucking happened if you wouldn't have gotten hurt, and we wouldn't be in here between you and fucking Lane. We need to pull a van with just Band-Aids and gauze behind us. It's one of y'all going to fucking bleed. And it was just an onslaught. Well, we get in the emergency room, and this nurse comes up and says, "David Berry," and and she was pretty hot to look at. And so I'm following her down to go get my eye sewed up. And I hear these cowboy boots running behind me, and it's Lane and Tough. They're like, "Fuck yeah, we're going with you."
That's funny.
It was fun. It was a good time rodeoing with them. But Lane, he always just kind of had me under, he really took care of me. And, but I got to where I couldn't afford to stay with them. And at that same time, Cody Custer had come out of a surgery, and he was healed up. So Lane made a phone call and got me in with Cody Custer. And so, but anyway, to answer your question, I had to tell you those stories, but to answer your question of, why I quit or what happened was, and so this is in 1988. I'm the rookie of the year. Next year, 1989, 7 months into it, we're at Cheyenne. Mm-hmm. And I made the short go at Cheyenne. Lane made the short go at Cheyenne. Well, hell, we all made the short go at Cheyenne. And I don't know if you've seen the short go in '88, but it was, again, stacked. We're just, really, really.
Marty Stannard rode Mr. T in the short round there, I believe, didn't
he? Yeah. And so we're there, and they're fixing to post the draw for the short go. And that I had Mr. T the year before in El Paso and come with an eyelash of getting a score on him. And anyway, I didn't, but I felt, after I got off that bull, and he was one of the, ranker type bulls out there at that time. But once I, and the only reason I feel like I didn't ride him is because it started feeling too easy for me. Right. And I kind of started, thinking about it a little bit there. A little bit, yeah. And T, he was really smart and shit like that. But anyway, that was what I wanted in Cheyenne was Mr. T, because I knew how he felt. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I'll snap him this time. And but anyway, I didn't draw him. I drawed this other bull, and so the next day we're at the rodeo, and I ride. There's a couple of different sections in the bull ride, and I ride before Lane, and I ride my bull. But when I'm getting off of him, he hits me in the face and breaks my jaws. And Butch Kirby, he was just there. Butch had been kind of pulling my rope all weekend or all week there at Cheyenne, and so he runs me to the emergency room and drops me off in front of the Cheyenne Hospital emergency room, and I walk in and
walk in with a broken jaw. Yeah.
And Standard says, "Well, we'll go back to not Standard, Butch touch. So I'm gonna go back and watch the rest of the bull riding." Well, anyway, I'm in the emergency room in this little cubicle, curtained off little deal there, and these lights and stuff start going off and flashing up in the hallway, and you could see nurses and stuff running and putting on their gloves and stuff like that, and they were saying, "Code something from the rodeo," and I was just like, I knew, it had to be a bull rider. And Dan Lowry had a bull draw called Lollipop there. And, this is kind of a bodacious bull. I mean, he just jerky down. And they called him Lollipop because at one time he used to just jump out there and spin, and they would say he's a good sucker. Yeah. So they called him Lollipop. Well, he got to where he got to be treacherous. Yeah. And anyway, he was just going to jerk you down and hurt you. Well, Dan had him, and I thought, well, fuck, that was, Dan got wiped out. Well, anyway, it wasn't Dan. They brought Lane in there by me, and so they bring Lane. I see Lane go by me on the gurney, and then Tough sits down. I have this chair next to my little gurney I'm laying on, and Tough sits down and he's crying, and I don't know if you've ever seen Tough cry, because no. It probably be the only one time he did. But he was crying, and the doctor come in there to me and looked at me and said, "Your friend," and he just shook his head. Wow. He didn't make it. And so that back to what happened to me was a few months before that, I'm the best bull rider in the PRCA, young bull rider coming out. And then, 6-7 months later, my life changed. Yeah. And the guy that had, really meant a lot to me and was kind of I would call him about cows and how to become a rancher too, and how to become a better bull rider, and just the stories me and him would talk about over the phone and things. And he having my back riding bulls, he's gone. And I just, it was the first time I, experienced that. And, I'm not in their movie. I'm not in the books. I'm not, Frost, Lane Frost, whatever stuff. I mean, but, that whole emergency room filled up with people. But Tough was, he was just sitting there crying. He was the only one in there with me. And then everybody left. And I was there by myself, and I was at Cheyenne by myself. I went up there by myself, and it was tough. It's like the room emptied out, and I'm still there, and it was just a different feeling, something I didn't know how to deal with,
Kind of the world kind of stopped for a minute.
So anyway, I kept riding bulls. I kept entering, but I noticed I was riding more. I was more, NFR wasn't in my head. Is the rodeos I was in wasn't NFR quality rodeos. I was going to circuit rodeos, and I'd went to the Dodge finals. I'd won the circuit. I mean, I still could ride, but my goals had changed and internally. And so,
and Cheyenne changed a lot of that.
Pardon me?
What happened at Cheyenne changed a lot of that with Lane and.
Yeah. And nothing changed. I let it change, it happened to Tough. It happened to Cody. It happened to Jim. It happened to Ty. I mean, all of us that were close, in that circle, they all felt the same I did, but they kept going.
Yeah.
And my jaws were broke, so I couldn't ride for 6 weeks, so I had 6 weeks of and that didn't help me none.
No.
And them guys kept, we're entered in a fucking rodeo every day in that time.
Yeah.
There's just so many rodeos you're entered every day, and they never turned out. I had the doctor release for 6 weeks, and so I had 6 weeks to just sit and waller in it.
Yeah.
And then instead of going to a positive place, I come back to Locust Grove, and because I didn't live here then. And I lived in Sulphur, Oklahoma back then. And but anyway, I come back to Locust Grove. Well, nobody here is at my level, and so I wasn't able to be around that. It ain't over, but I was around more people that were like, it's done, it's over, and anyway, I just didn't know how to handle it. And that's where I'm at today. You'll see a lot about me that a lot of people don't get, and they're not supposed to, but I coach bull riding.
Yes, sir.
I do very well at it. My skills sell out.
Yeah.
I don't have a gold buckle, I have an NFR back number, but I can hold my own. And there's 2 times in life I quit, and that was one of them. And then I kept rodeoing. And one day, and of course, I'm still in Locust Grove, and I'm entered at Fort Smith, the rodeo. And I just kept looking at the clock and thinking, just kind of, I guess I was dreading it,
Yep.
and I turned out. And when I called Procom and turned out at Fort Smith, and I knew I was done, I knew it was over.
Yep.
And I started crying because I knew I was over. And so I always tell myself, they broke me as a boy and tried to twice, but they won't do it as a man.
Yeah.
And I take those things that I felt, those tears I cried, those emotions I felt, the good ones, the bad ones, and I've made myself better.
Yeah.
But in order for it to really work, I have to make other people better, not just me. I don't believe life's about me.
Yeah.
I think there's a purpose that I didn't keep rodeo, and I think there's a reason why I do what I do.
Yep.
And but I'm not going to let somebody give up on themselves, because that's the worst shitty motherfucking feeling you'll ever have.
Oh yeah,
is when you get on your dream and goal, and I still have to live with it today.
Well,
no matter how full I am, no matter how good I get at what I do, that is still there, and it does not go away.
That's the regret,
But what I've learned through my Think Rank podcast that I do, my thought process is it ain't gonna beat me. It's gonna try to rear its head, and I'm gonna beat the fuck out of it instead of letting it beat the fuck out of me.
Yep.
But I'm gonna share not my story. You're hearing my story Cody.
Yeah.
And when you called me and asked me to be on your podcast, it's an honor. But I was also kind of a little bit nervous, if you will, because I knew I was going to be telling a story to you guys that I haven't really told in a complete sentence. Right. And because I don't advertise myself, I market myself. Yeah. I don't advertise what I've done. I market myself. Yeah. And I have to market myself to get people's attention because I don't have a platform. I've had to create that platform. Yep. You know, back in the day, there was a bull riding newspaper called Humps and Horns.
Yeah, you already jumped into my next topic, man.
That was I needed that vehicle to advertise my schools in. I was advertising in rodeo, in pro rodeo sports news, in the high school newspaper. I was advertising to rodeo people. I needed a way to advertise to bull riders. Yeah. So I fucking created it. I started Humps and Horns.
Yeah. And I remember getting them magazines. I had a damn near a lifetime subscription to that damn thing. That was when you went to a bull riding and somebody had a Humps and Horns, you tried to steal it so you'd have something to read, go into the next one or look at the pictures or see if you made the Humps and Horns. Because if you made the Humps and Horns, you was probably somebody.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's something that I did. I don't have anything to do with it now. They would have me on their website as a founder, but they've even took me off of that. There's a lot of people that don't like me, you know.
I know that. And why is that exactly? And it's mainly the PBR guys, the PBR entity itself. That somewhere along the lines there, either they did something to piss you off or you did something to piss them off. There was something there. Where is that? Where does that come from? Do you know the origination of that or why you're kind of the outlaw rebel?
No, honestly, I don't. I mean, there's probably different, there's reasons, but I don't really worry about what the PBR thinks or says or does. I mean, my humble opinion, I think, like a Cody Lambert, I think he's a coattail rider. I think if it wasn't for Lane Frost and Tuff Hedeman and Jim Sharp and Ty Murray, Cody Lambert couldn't work at a fucking sell barn. You know, that's my
Tuff Hedeman has
true
the
opinion.
Exact same. He says the exact same thing. He said Cody Lambert wouldn't be where he was at if he didn't rodeo with guys that rode good.
That's right. Yeah. Lambert's famous for rodeoing with the right guys. That's his fame.
That's tough saying.
But he went to his fucking head, his position and his self-appointed positions. But I don't have, at the end of the day, I think that's a dick suck contest over there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not into that. Never have been. Again, you can look up my, what I've done. I've created everything I've done. Yeah. I've created everything I've done. And so, and I'm just getting fucking started, but the PBR has nothing to do with my future or my success in life. Right. Nothing. And I raise bulls also. I got 80 head of bucking bulls. Yeah. Half of them can go to the NFR or to a PBR. The other half are school bulls. Yeah. That from a first time bull rider can ride to and that's the thing. I keep those bulls to train the guys. There's who's who bull riders that will stop in here and train with me. What?
Luke Snyder, Dusty LeBest, Braden Kilcrease is going right now. He's a hot little fucker right now at riding everything, and he's kind of the monster in the making.
Yeah. Well, it goes way back. I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. I started doing Gary LaFew bull riding schools and Brett LaFew. That's how I got started, was just doing their schools and hiring them to teach. Because one, I wasn't real fucking sure, about myself at the time. Right. I was pretty broken. And, I look like I fucking have done every drug in the world just because I got long hair. I've never had a chemical in my fucking body. Wow. I drink Bud Light beer and smoke a cigar. I've never smoked a joint. I've never had a fucking chemical. As long as you can't count Viagra, but if you don't count Viagra, I've never had a fucking chemical. So
I love it.
Yeah. But I've been broken down. I mean, like where's the gun at? Broken down. But I never reached for something I was going to man up and get through it myself. Yeah. But anyway, I tortured myself, and people don't have to go through it like I have. But the bulls, the coaching young guys, it's a great opportunity. to be around that passion that I share with them, the love of a bull, the love of a bull rider. Yeah. A lot of the boys that come to me, they're not going to turn into professional bull riders, but they're always going to be a bull rider because they got on a bull and they got on it and was safe. And that rush is probably like riding roller coasters. And I don't
atmosphere is possible.
That rush.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that rush is, I don't care if you're a beginner or you're a professional, that rush is the same. It's the adrenaline is the greatest drug out there, I think. And, kind of going back to when you quit, Owen Washburn told me one time, he said, when you start driving home faster than you did going to a bull riding, it's time to quit. Because when you're young, you drive 100 miles an hour, balls to the walls, ass on fire like Tough Hedeman to get to a rodeo, and then you turn around and you drive 10 miles an hour home or drive the speed limit home. But when that reverses and you're driving the speed limit to a bull riding and 100 miles an hour home, that's when priorities and things have changed, and it's time to, because bull riding, either you're all in or you're all out, and that's cut and dry, end of story.
That's right.
As the deal that happened in Cheyenne, you can see the top guy, the world champion bull rider, get his life taken away. It can happen to the best. It can happen to the beginner. It can happen. Bull riding is dangerous, and I like your schools, and I do a few schools myself too, and we've talked about this on your podcast because I've been on your podcast, and I think it's a great one. And if y'all ain't heard of it, it's Think Rank. I believe it comes on Wednesday nights on Facebook Live, or where you got it at?
More, but you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and my website, monsterbull.com.
There you go. And I say, all you young guys, go take a listen to it, learn something from him. He's got a great story coming in, and we ain't done yet. We're still really getting started here, but so you do that. It's dangerous from the bottom end to the top end, but the kids get to feel the same feel as a bull rider. Because nodding your head on that, you don't know where he's going, what the hell he's doing. But the great thing about the schools is going and learn from somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. You can get that in kind of a controlled environment because, as well as I do, if a kid just strikes out on his own and goes to one of these local contractors somewhere, they're going to put him on a 3-year-old ABBI Classic bull or a first rider trip on a 2-year-old that just won $200,000 last year. And this kid ain't going to learn nothing. He's going to get hurt and get killed off. And I think me and you have a lot of that same mentality, is that you've got to start them at the right. You got to build confidence, build them up, get their mind right, get their mind wrapped around riding bulls, because that's a monster. That's a major fucking concept right there. Just to get your head wrapped around, I'm going to go ride this big sumbitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's right, Cody. And at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of them that come around me is not going to make it, but they're always going to be a bull rider. And what it takes to nod your head for a bull, that is going to carry into success in life, whatever you do in life. And it sets you up for success later on, because it takes that, what it takes them boys to be a bull rider is going to be the same effort and stuff that they're going to encounter later in life.
To be successful in life.
You have to be a bull rider. You can experience bull riding. And that was the other thing. When I quit riding bulls, I thought my who I was over. There was just so much I've learned, and thank God, I didn't do the wrong things. I did some right things, but it's hard when it's over. It's hard. There's a withdrawal time, and then I seen guys, and I was kind of one of them. Like you quit, retire, whatever. I never did either. I just quit entering.
That was me.
I never retired.
I never quit,
and I just quit entering.
Well, I never wanted the fame of, I kept seeing a lot of guys announce their retirement and making a big deal out of it. And I was just like, you're just wanting notoriety. You're just wanting, to get in front of the camera again and this and that.
Yeah.
I like Stetson Lawrence.
Yeah. I didn't give a shit. Right. I didn't care. I was just like, when I'm done, I'm done. And I just stepped aside. And of course I've got 3 boys that ride, and I figured it was time for me to quit chasing my dream and for me to start helping them chase theirs.
There you go. Well, again, life's a book, and so bull riding career, however long it lasts, that's a chapter, and there's more than one chapter in a book, and there's more than one chapter in life. and nothing's going to stay the same.
Right.
What I had to learn was there's another chapter in my life.
Yeah.
And then what I've also learned, there's another chapter in my life.
Well,
and I'm just on chapter 3, you know?
Well, let's get to chapter 4 here in just a minute when we come back from a word from our sponsors. This episode of Beyond the Buckles is brought to you by our friends at Lorick Ranch Home Furnishings, Young Cattle Company, Sutherland Logistics, Off Our Rocker, Sunnyside Graphic Design, Cactus Rodeo, Print and Stitch Company, DEL Cattle Company, and Blake Skaggs Bucking Bulls. All right, man. So chapter 4, buddy. Chapter 4, I think we got to talk about, all these pictures I see of you, man. You're always flipping the bird. Where did that come from?
It comes from just fuck you. I'm not into kissing somebody's ass.
Right.
I've been there's so many people that I've helped in the bull business.
Yeah.
Of the Monster Bull events that I've done, which I own Monster Bull, the name and all, but I've helped a lot of fucking people,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of people ain't helped me back. And I just like, you know what? Fuck all y'all. I'm going to do this by myself. I can do it.
Yeah.
The PBR not letting me, take bulls to their deals. I'm like, man, fuck you,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why would they not let you? Because I was always thought that if you had the best son of a bitch, you had a bucking rank son of a bitch, and I think you had a Red Bull with banana horns, brockle face. I think he got sent to Mexico. I seen it on Facebook. But that son of a bitch bucked and belonged in every damn short round I ever seen, and they wouldn't let you bring him.
No, and that's just it's a shame that that's the way it be. Now I could change that, but I'm not going to follow you to fucking be able to take my bull to your deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just that's just kind of my deal. And, again, and actually, I got, my middle finger that was really famous is shorter now because one of my bulls, and, so, it is. I thought, fuck, my life's over when I was losing part of my finger. My trade gone.
He trademarked.
But I don't mean anything personal to anybody. It's just to the industry. It's a positive energy for me.
Yeah.
And I know that's probably different for everybody else, but you ain't me and I ain't you.
Exactly right.
But yeah.
Man, I that's crazy. Man, I totally commend you on going out on your own. I know it ain't easy. It ain't easy being you. Yeah, man, I think it's been a great episode. Everything's good. Dave, you got anything you want to add on here, or anything we forget or leave out?
No, shoot, Cody. It's an honor. I met you at I believe Sykeston, Missouri.
Yeah.
I was doing a PPR bull riding there,
mm-hmm.
and you was entered, and I believe that's the first time we've met.
I think so.
But I'm pretty sure I've run across you and your brother when y'all was younger, when I was running around Texas down there on the edge of Oklahoma there. But anyway, but it's just an honor. I'm a fan. To watch you ride bulls was really watching a real bull rider.
I appreciate that.
Put you on these calves today, the contractor's going to cry, so
I agree.
I'm not into the PBR team deal and the rider friendly shit. It's hard for me, and I got plenty of rider friendly bulls. Don't get me wrong, but I want a world title. I want a world championship. I want to see man versus beast. I know they have to do the rider friendly deal because the bulls are, they're more good bulls than are the bull riders right now, but that's the industry's fault too, because the great bull riders are all scattered out in all these different associations.
Well, there's too many. I think there's too many associations right now. It's not that we've got a lack of bull riders. I mean, we can argue we've got a lack of good bull riders, but for the amount of bull riders out there, there's, say there's 700 bull riders out there. There's 1,100 rodeos or bull ridings they can go to on any given weekend, and it's,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And so you're diluting the talent pool,
mm-hmm.
and the bull bull power's, it's
Wow.
there everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And so, but there's nothing unrideable. The bulls ain't, they're good, but they can only do so much,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, if you fucking want it bad enough, you can ride him,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between just nodding your head and saying you want to and really wanting to in that moment.
Damn teeth.
Yeah.
But, and that's
in there.
my Think Ranks podcast comes in, and then just my coach practice.
Yeah.
I'm a basic coach, I'm not gonna, fancy it up. I'm gonna stay the basics, because I believe the basics is how you ride them bulls.
Basics will ride. I don't give a shit what bull you got. You got Whoopah, Bushwhacker, Asteroid. The basics will ride every damn one of them. You ain't got to do no fancy shit. Nothing wild, nothing crazy. You go front, ride them some bitches front to back. When they come up, you go to the front. When they kick, you stick your damn chest out, shove your hips, and you go right back to the front.
Yeah.
The average fucking bull makes 13 jumps in 8 seconds. Get your ass to the front 13 fucking times and then get off and walk to the pay window, son.
That's right. So if I had, if my ruthers, I would rather see the PBR be what they were when you won the world.
Yep. I agree.
When it was, to me, that's real bull riding. You want to go buckle when the fucking the list was stacked too, with nothing but fucking talent.
Yep.
It was just talent out the ass, and bulls talent out the ass, and you come out on top. That right there should put you in a Hall of Fame. That's why I'm going to turn on PBR on Sunday night or something and watch you compete.
Yeah.
I would rather watch you ride than to go watch a team bull ride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's man versus beast. I want to see the best. I want to see the best matchups. Not the rider matchup. I want the rider friendly. I want to see bulls never been.
Yeah.
I
Tough on Bodacious.
I'm into the fight.
Lane versus Red Rock, or
Yes, that's right.
That shit.
Well, that's why it worked.
Yeah.
That's why Groundy did that to bump the crowds. Lane Frost versus Red Rock. That's why they did that, and it worked, Lane made money, Groundy made money.
Yeah. Fans got a hell of a show.
But again, I don't know. I'm just not into that, what they're doing now, but at the same time, I never will be a part of their deal either. So last time I checked my bank account, the checks I'm cashing ain't from them, and my bank account's doing pretty well. So
damn, you're doing better than most of us. Well, guys,
but Cody, I do appreciate it, man. It's been an honor to visit with you. Again, I'm a fan. To be able to, when you come on my podcast, it was just outstanding. And then when you called me to be on yours, I thought, oh shit, Well,
you got a story to tell, man, and I appreciate you coming on and telling it. And I wanted a lot of other people to know who the hell you was, because you've got a great story. You rodeoed with some of the greats. You achieved, something that a lot of bull riders just dream of, just winning the rookie buckle. And who the hell can say they rodeoed with Tough and Lane back in the day? That's outstanding. And then what you're doing now to help the youth and bring the youth up and stuff. And then your Think Rank podcast and stuff, man, you're getting out there, and my hat's off to you, because you're doing it all by yourself. You're your own guy, as you said yourself. And, man, it's an honor to have you on. And shoot, I look forward to doing more stuff with you. And thanks for coming on, man.
Awesome, man. We'll continue the journey. I love your podcast, and
awesome.
Man, just keep doing what you're doing, and keep winning, Cody, and keep helping them kids.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people look up to you, and I don't know that you and I are the two best role models to be out there, but we fucking care. And
well, if they want to learn the right way and know the real side of things, I advise y'all to go to either my school or David Berry's. I promise you're going to get the real deal, the truth. Just like you get here on Beyond the Buckles. Every episode, we're talking the truth. We get to the real side of it. We don't sugarcoat shit around here. If you don't like it, don't watch us. But hey, I guarantee you, you're going to like us. You're going to watch us. So keep subscribing. Follow us. Instagram, Facebook, and watch our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and as always, keep your damn rosin hot. See you next time.